This is the class, if you took it already once, where you start talking and then you're so angry at me because whatever you're saying, you keep on pulling back your words because it's really good communication skills and about certain things that we never ever ever say. Lydia, are you here? Where is she? I really wonder. I called somebody that I was upset at, and I had a conversation with her, and I hope it's about effective communication. I'm curious if I broke any of these rules. Here are the rules for tonight. Ready? We're not threatening. We're not shaming. We're not asking questions. We're not being a martyr. You know what that means? I'll give you an example in a minute. No yelling, no hands. You're not allowed to hit. Did you know that you're not allowed to hit? No, you don't know that. Are you allowed to hit a kid? A potch?
Yeah, for something dangerous. In the olden days.
No hands, no punishing, and no criticizing.
What about spare the rod?
What about spare the rod, spoil? Isn't it? And what about this one I get here the most, especially with the boys? You have to make them tough. You got to toughen them up, or otherwise they're gonna be like girls if you don't make them tough. Um, it's interesting that I'm learning a lot about really being assertive. But what do we say? You hate your son, you don't hit them. That's but I don't think that today we're in a condition to be able to give a patch the way they used to without any anger. Just because, we say that as we put on a gartel, and then you're preparing yourself to do the mitzvah of slapping a child. If you're hitting like that, then you're not hitting. So we spoke about really loving our children, and we're going to talk about their victories. And today we're going to speak about what not to say. And next week we're going to do next time it'll be a little bit more about what to say. Threatening means if you don't go into bed, I'm going to give you a patch. Shaming means what is wrong with you? I can give you a bunch of examples. No asking questions. If you want to say something, just say, please don't do that. Now, why did you do that? Being a martyr means saying you're torturing me, you're breaking my heart. He's my sister, he's your sister. I get so sad, I get so happy. We do that, we get codependent kids that only behave a certain way to make their mother happy, which is a good thing anyways, but that's not what we want. No yelling, that no hands, no. I don't punish or criticize. This week's focus is really on staying in control, so I can just say the sentences that I want to say. Lydia, did you hear me? Did I break the rules today in the car when I yelled at somebody? I'm sorry. I want to know if I broke my rules. You're not allowed to threaten? Did I shame anybody? Make a problem. I hope not. Okay, just so that you know, if you hurt a child, let's say if a kid has love language is physical touch, and you hit them, you wounded them very deeply. If a child's love language is gifts and you took something away, you see some kids do not recalculate from it. It's an hour later, what did I do? If the kid's a words of affirmation kid and you're screaming, it's gonna wound them the most deeply. Timeout is not an effective punishment for a kid that loves language is quality time. It's funny that that's how we love in those 5 love languages, and we also punish in those 5 love languages. So we don't ask questions. My friend Faggy was driving and she was speeding, and she said, Perl, I'm not a liar. I really don't lie. The cop, she suddenly sees the lights in the back and she starts to panic. And the cop pulls her over and says, Madam, were you speeding? She said, Perl, I knew I was speeding. I was going over 80 miles an hour. I have a speedometer. I know the cop, he has that machine. He knows how fast I was going. Why did I say no? Why did I lie? I was going to get in trouble. Because when someone says, did you wash your hands? You're going to say, when you ask someone, you're going to say, yeah. When we ask our kids questions, we're asking them to lie.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Yeah. Well, you're saying to them, did you wash your hands? It's also like a parsha question. Like, you when you ask a question like that, they're going to answer the answer that you want, not the truth. Did you hit your brother? What about why did you hit your brother? That means that hitting is okay if you have a good answer for that. Instead of saying, I know you're upset. We don't hit. Also, most adults, that's what I was trying to do, trying to get an adult to admit why they did what they did. Most adults have no idea why they do what they do. How does a kid know? Mommy, I hit him because I'm really jealous of the baby and I'm having a hard time. So they don't know why, and you're just asking them to lie. The other one is that we say like this, we're like really good mommy, I'm being really strict. It's 8 o'clock into bed, and then we ruin it and we say, okay. And if you do that, like, yeah, like supper time, okay. Or some of the teachers go, right, or got it. You're asking them for permission to be the mother, and they don't get to give us permission. So we don't ask questions. We do a lot of threatening as parents. I find that it's so ironic that I could be giving this class tonight. So it's a gift because for the next week I have this little voice in my head saying, "Don't threaten," and I'm already in the middle. Like, if you keep eating that way, I don't know what you're going to look like. That's a threat. If you won't eat, you won't grow, right? Oh, and this also, when Daddy's going to come home, you're going to get it. So I want you to know that for sure, single parent homes are really hard because subconsciously the kids know Daddy's gonna get you. You're gonna Daddy's gonna come home. It's there. When there's a parent that's backing you from behind, then you're saying it differently. But really, Daddy's gonna come home. You're gonna get it. Makes you a real wimp. It doesn't. It doesn't make your position clearer. Your relationship with the kids and his relationship with the kids are two completely separate things. They will hang up the coat by you. They will not hang up the coat by him. When you say something, they're going to listen. And when he says something, they may not. So, whatever you're doing, using him as a backup is not a good sign. It's something else is going on. It doesn't really, either you're too soft, you know, young children don't understand more than here and now. So, I remember telling a kid, don't drink because then you're going to have to go to the bathroom. And he was like, really? If you drink, you have to go to the bathroom? 1 second. And he ran to try it. We're leaving the house. I don't want you to drink because I want you to, you're going to have to go to the bathroom afterwards. I don't want you to, right? I don't want you to go to the bathroom. But they're like, 1 second, went to the sink, drank a cup and said, oh no, I don't need to go to the bathroom. They don't know about now and later, like 3, 4, 5 year olds. At some age, it starts to kick in 6, 7, 8, 9, a little bit about if I do something now, something might happen later. Threatening is very tempting because does it work?
Yeah.
A little bit. I think the kids today are so great, it doesn't work as well as it used to. They're like, but a little bit like, if you don't go to bed right now, nope. You know what I'm saying? I did tell my daughter before she went tonight, as soon as you're in bed, call me. She's calling me now, that's why. As soon as you're in bed, call me. You can have a chocolate coin from the Hanukkah coins. She said, now I want it. Blah, blah, blah. I said, as soon as you're in bed, you can have the coin. Call me and let me know you're in bed, and then you can have the coin. But I'm not saying if you don't go into bed, then you are not getting the coin. Did I do that yesterday? I said you can have, um, you can have the treat. I was also for a treat. You can have it as long as your homework is done by 9 o'clock. And that means that if your homework is not done by 9 o'clock, then you can't have it. But that's not what I said. Some of the kids are a little aspy, a little bit like on the spectrum, a drip, and they won't understand it unless you really spell it out. So again, I'm talking, and for your kid might need a little bit more of an explanation, but most kids don't. Most of us explain way too much. They don't really, you're losing them when you're explaining like that.
What are
No.
the symptoms of somebody who's like a child who's asking, like Asperger's, right?
It's a completely, the more I do this, the deeper I understand that you need to go to somebody that really understands the Asperger brain. Because I'm very not Asperger's, very, very not. So it's hard for me. But I just know that you have to be saying, if you get into bed now, I did it with Nagelwasser, washing your hands by your bed. We have these new Izzy Dizzy cards. Is it in town here? No, because it's like these cards, 90 cards. You buy like 75 cents for cards, hard plastic cards, and then you get to trade them. And it's like from 1 to 90. It's the story about Hanukkah. When you get all 90 cards, you can get a CD. It's very exciting. So I said to him, you get up in the morning and you wash your hands before you get out of bed. Then you get out of bed, water goes into the bathtub, and then you can get a pack of Izzy Dizzy cards. So, and then he forgot. So he couldn't get a pack. He was really upset about it, but then he didn't forget again. So that then, that's what we can do. But never, if you don't, then I won't. Should I call your Rebbe? Should I tell Grandma what you just did? That's called shaming. These are all things that you know how to do when the baby gives birth naturally. You don't need to be taught how to shame. I don't know why, it's just something that happens by itself. I still remember one day showing my kids my varicose veins. I had really bad veins. I was pregnant, and showing them that I stood on these feet and cooked your supper, and you won't even taste it. That's called being a martyr, right? You're torturing me. I want my kids to do what's right and not what's not torturing me. You're killing me. One woman told me that she came into the house and her two kids were fighting like bad. And she started telling them, under this kerchief, there are white hairs. I said, Mamala, I don't care about your hair color. What are you trying? We don't fight. Get up. Let's talk about this. You're torturing me. We do in many different versions. My throat is hurting me from yelling at you all day. That's not like, it just makes the kid, so many adults come into my office and say, I tortured my mother. And I tell them, that was her choice. You were a kid. You didn't have a choice. Now, when you're a teenager, it's different. But when you're a kid, it's your choice. I remember hearing a very big speaker many years ago tell me, if you see me giving a speech, then you know I'm getting paid. If you're not getting paid, you don't speak. And she said, because people don't listen. Most of our kids, most of what we say, it's like you took a bucket of water, you just poured it all over them. They're like, that's it. They didn't really hear you. Like, I don't give a speech. I know I have this funny image in my head of like using like a carrot for a mic, this big giant carrot. I'm just going on and on and on and on. All we're giving the kids is what we call APE, attention, power, and entertainment. That's from Mary Mann. I love it. So when you're screaming at a kid, you're giving them attention, power, and entertainment. That's it. I walked into the house. I had gone out to PTA. I come home and the front door was left open. I've told my kids multiple times, when you come in the house, you close the door. Any of you have a problem? Yeah, door's open. So and as I'm doing this, I'm like, you are giving such a speech right now. I'm like, there are going to be cats and dogs in the house walking around. I mean, what do you want? You notice that I'm in my face? That's the posture. Okay, and they're like, this woman, look at me. I'm 3 years old and I can get this woman to move like that. We give so much power, but they're not really hearing me. There's going to be a big robbery one day, and I wonder whose fault it's going to be. By the way, there was a cat in the house one day after that story. There really was a cat. It took me a while. It smelled terrible. I couldn't figure out what the smell was, and there was a cat behind the china closet. That's what happens when you leave the door open. I was for real, but it doesn't really make the kids close the door. It makes the kids all disappear. They don't really hear you.
Next class is how to get them to listen.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, we know all this already.
You know that you shouldn't be doing this, right? I'm actually glad.
Because we tried the other way and it doesn't work. So like you're telling me this, like all these things.
The kids today, by the way, are so great. None of this works. Our mothers, our mothers got away with this. It worked, right?
Jewish guilt? Of course it works.
What, the Jewish guilt? What that you?
You want to see your mother cry? It works.
They don't want you to cry. Okay, she's lucky.
Oh, my God.
It's not very functional. Like a little bit more like dysfunctional behavior. But the good news is that usually the kids don't really. And then they stop for a little. My ears hurt is called being a martyr.
But they hurt. You hurt my ears.
Right. So I'd rather
Expressing how I feel.
look. Worst case scenario, if it happens. By the way, expressing how you feel is something you do in a therapy session. Not when you want someone to do something. You know, I feel really uncomfortable when you're wearing a watch like that. I'm just sharing with you how I feel. I'm being very manipulative. I say, I love your watch. Can I have it? That's called communication. But sharing how you feel, when I see your pants on the floor, it makes me feel really sad. I'm just having open communication with you how I feel. I'm manipulating you. I'm not communicating. I'm controlling you. There's connection and there's control. So if I want to share with you how I'm feeling, I will talk about the weather. Hanukkah is coming up, the Yontif. That's when I'm sharing how I feel. When I want to tell you pick up your pants, I'm going to say, please pick up your pants from the floor. I'm not going to tell you how I feel. A lot of people do this open communication thing. It's a mistake. You should communicate, but not when you're trying to control. When you're trying to tell someone what?
What if you say, like, pick up your clothes like 5 times?
Yeah.
They do it. Yeah, then I'm like,
Good.
every day, for like a month.
A month? And then they do it?
They still don't do it.
I still don't do it. Right, good.
But how do you correct like a behavior that, for example, tonight, my 4-year-old has learned to speak very loud, very
A
loud.
4-year-old is speaking very, very, very loud.
Very loud.
Right.
So I had said, I'm like, if you don't lower your voice, I
Good.
might have to take you to an ear doctor. Is that
Okay, now if you're concerned about the loud voice, okay, right. She's saying if you don't speak lower, I might have to take you to an ear doctor. Now let's say Chas v'Shalom, the kid has hearing loss.
She doesn't. She just learned how to talk loud.
Good. Now if she's talking loud because it's a behavioral, like it's like a bad habit, then we're gonna do a lot of fun stuff. Lower the tone. Now today we do swiping on the phone. I don't know, like that. I don't know, like lower your voice. Do a lot of fun stuff. We can say like you can remind. I can give you a whole list of things you can do. But saying you're making me deaf, or maybe there's something wrong with your brain, it's called shaming. It's not communicating, and it works maybe a little bit for a few minutes, and then they go louder.
She just asked, she's like, what would he do? And I was like, I'm gonna see if there's something going on with your ear.
And then if it doesn't work, it's scary, and if it does work, it's also scary, because then they believed you.
You can't say I'm tired.
You can share your emotions and you can share that you're tired, but if you want them to go to bed, you're going to say it's time to go to bed. You're not going to say I'm tired.
No, like not to be hard, or like, Mommy, can you please do this?
Oh, I would love to help you. I would love to help you. I'm having a victory and I'm saying no because I'm really tired. That's real good communication.
Right, like they say
You can share how you feel, but not connected to something that you need them to do. You should all be doing a lot of healthy sharing emotions. But, like with your husband, I feel so jealous when everyone else has this beautiful jewelry. Just say, I would love a piece of jewelry. Ask for what you need. When we're mixing emotions, open communication with asking for something. It's the wrong. It's not good communication.
You do it's persuasion,
Okay, manipulation.
This is manipulation.
She's doing this persuasion. They can't see her.
They do it to me.
They good, but they do it to me. Good. So therefore, you should be doing it to them.
It's actually a good example when it comes to, let's say,
They manipulate me all the
I
time.
think a really good example
Yeah.
of what you're trying to say is that,
Yes.
for example, when a child comes up to you and tries to sweet talk you into getting something, and you just want to be like, what do you really want?
Right.
Just say what you want, and maybe I can get it for you. Versus
When a child is trying to manipulate you, I think it's a sign of a healthy kid. But when we're trying to manipulate our children, we are trying to manipulate them, and that's okay. But we're trying to teach them good communication skills and effective communication that works, so they can actually listen to you And that's really why I want to be able to go on. The kid was eating baked potatoes and cottage cheese. You remember the baked potatoes and cottage cheese used to make? You bake the potato, you squeeze it out, you mash it with cottage cheese. It's a messy supper. And he's standing there over, remember the tapes? Is an old example. The cassette tapes that are like whatever, and he's eating it like that, and it's hitting the tape recorder, and it's flying, and he's like that. And and this was the speech I gave him then. Look at what you're doing. Hello, do you see? There's gonna be rats and mice and mold. It's disgusting. Don't you even know? Do you know that you're supposed to eat by the table? So that's a question. It's an all combination here. And I said to him, we eat by the table. Here's a napkin. Please wipe it up. A lot of you are saying, when I do that, they don't listen to me. So first of all, I want you to know that there's an assertive way to do that from here, that they will actually listen to you.
That time, but then
Good.
the next time they won't do it.
Or if you threaten and you shame and you scare them and you monitor them and you do the whole 9 yards, they also will only listen for this time, maybe. So having children means it's not going to be like they make a dirty diaper once, you wipe them, and then they're clean for a lifetime. It's multiple dirty diapers, and so too it is with communication, with getting to lower their voice, make their bed. I'm like, we're waiting for it to be done. It's not done until they're at least 30. That's what I see. Hope my kids will forgive me for this one, but they need it more. I find like 20 to 30, they need you, but they're more open to it. They need a lot of education from 20 to 30. A lot of support. It's more fun than 10 to 20. What?
Forget it. By 20, they don't even want to talk to you.
Right. My 2-year-old has to go to the bathroom before he goes to school, but he refuses to go to the bathroom before he goes on the bus. Anyone knows about this? So I noticed I'm giving him a speech and I'm telling him, if you don't go to the bathroom now, you're going to make on the bus. You want to make on the bus? All your friends are going to make fun of you. What am I doing? First, you hear the squeak. I'm shaming him. I'm actually educating him about making on the bus. I'm giving him some good ideas. Instead, right? I just said to him, before you go to the bathroom, you go. Before you go to the bus, you go to the bathroom. Let's go. One end of the shoulder, one of the, I don't want to. Gently take him, and he does not use the bathroom. And he goes on the bus, and he's wet. The second day, I did the same thing. Before we go to the bus, you have to, but my mother is waiting for me. I said, first the bathroom, and then the bus. I picked him up, I took him, and he actually used the bathroom. That's how we do this.
You're saying it's a lot of like
Repetition, but really also a determination, like single, like focus. I'm like, I'm not giving up. I know there's a lot of other things going on and you can't do everything, but whatever you could do. Some of you are worried that you have to like spare the rod, world's child, or you have to tell the kid the truth. They have to know, I have to teach them. If you really want to give a kid a piece of what we call musar, what do you call musar here? Like rebuke or criticism. There's halacha, there's Jewish law, okay? It has to be in private. It has to be with a low voice. It has to be with love in your heart. Like what I did now is not with love in your heart. Lady, I should have waited. Only if the child knows that you love him. With a solution in mind. For something that you know for sure, the kid is capable of overcoming. The worst one of all, only for a trait that you yourself already overcame. So we really don't ever like sit down and have a talk with a kid. That's the bottom line. Like you should know that you're dysfunctional. That this is what you're doing. When you get married, no one's going to marry you like this. This is something that you need to change. Doing all that, there's really almost never a place. You're such a mess. I can't take it anymore. Does not qualify like for muster. Some of us are like, I have to give muster. Like I have to do this. It's so, I really wonder if I have to do this, like a Rageaholics Anonymous thing anymore. I think we all know for sure that rage is never okay. Doesn't mean that it never happens, but if it happens, you need to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I got angry, this is really cool. I'm sorry, I get angry, I made a mistake. The Ramban says the only time that anger is okay if it's a mask of anger, if you're faking it. Sometimes you fake that you're mad at the kids. I really don't think so, because when we're not mad, we don't want to. There's another way to do this. I help. It helps me when I think to myself that it's not like it's not sneers. It's not refined. We don't. Do you ever physically undress in front of your kids? If you do, you shouldn't. So just like we don't undress physically in front of your kids, we do not. Like we don't get naked in front of the kids. When you start to act like an animal, it's like getting undressed. We don't do that in front of kids.
What if they follow you into the bathroom?
And then you have to lock the door.
Even I don't know, maybe a big dressing, so what age?
Nursing, I don't keep right. The breastfeeding. So some people, my married daughter has it looks like a Taliban, or I don't know. She covers her whole body with a sheet. She's like thin sheet, and the kids are used to it. She covers her whole self up. Some people have this thing where they cover. I don't want to like stick my body parts in front of them like that. It's
Yeah,
a,
but you're in the house.
but the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, what age?
Is there like a? Is like a? There is that the age where they're too young and they don't really notice. Just don't, right, like I don't know, like a lot of times I hear like moms talking about like taking a bath or a shower with their kids. No more, okay? I don't know, maybe it used to be okay, but the world is too crazy. No more, none of that, as much as you can.
Even if
Why
you're
though?
girls?
Yeah. I have to tell you.
That's disgusting. What's the rationale?
Yeah.
Is it psychologically, is it?
I think that I do this more in other classes. There's a smoke alarm that we want our kids to have like batteries in the smoke alarm if somebody's being inappropriate sexually. And if we create like a safe circle and a safe space and like the alarm rings when somebody cuts through, that's really what we really want.
Is it common that the like abuse and stuff like that?
We say 1 in 3 kids get approached for sexual abuse.
What?
Mhm.
The kids sneak them.
What?
The whole kids sneak, people sneak off their.
Yeah, well, sure. That I just want that if a pedophile crosses through and goes to the other, like crosses into your kid space, alarm should go on. If somebody starts to take off their clothes, the alarm should ring. And the kids, their alarm, they naturally have that alarm. And if we're gonna be like, that's really what I show here also, that if we're slapping our kids, if we're angry and we're breathing on them and we're in their face, they learn that people that love us can be in our space and be breathing on us. And then they don't, it ends up ruining them. Like I'm just thinking here, you should know that some of this is old fashioned.
You don't have a healthy age, basically, if you do that to them.
If you're gonna go in their space, break through and breathe someone's breath that close in an angry way or in an uncomfortable way, an alarm should ring. You should run, go tell your mommy. And if it's not like that, if the kids are like, oh, adults do that, or like people that we love that are there to protect us, they'll expose themselves in a way they shouldn't. They emotionally expose themselves in a way they shouldn't. They physically cut in and they do things to your body that you don't like. What are we teaching them? It's interesting. There's a big mentor in Borough Park that works with the teenage girls at risk. And by the way, this is one of the questions one of you sent me. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah, here. Why are we seeing so many kids at risk today? Why are there is it that there's too much pressure? Is it too much expectations? Is that why we're seeing kids at risk today? And today I'll tell you more than ever, we're seeing kids at risk. Because that's kids that are doing risky behaviors like drugs, drinking, alcohol, boys, I know the whole 9 yards. Why are we seeing so much of this everywhere? Everywhere. And and like what?
There's no shame.
I want to tell you why I've come to accept it, because this is what Hashem wants. Not to say that we're not going to do our best, but there's a lot of I've seen kids at risk where there's too much pressure. I've seen kids at risk where there's not enough pressure. I've seen, so it doesn't necessarily mean, I just know that I want to do my part, that my kid knows how to keep themselves safe, because most kids I have a kid walk in and they're like heavily addicted to who knows what. And then I'm like, and if this kid's come from a really upstanding home, and like, oh, whatever, no one sexually abused me, don't worry. And I'm like, is that what they usually ask me? Yeah, that's the first question I was. Who abused you sexually? Why? Because the kids that are sexually abused are the kids that are usually in trouble. So at least I want to know that I'm trying my very best not to cut through that circle. We will, you know, when you're at a wedding and someone gets too close to you, you move back, and they come too close again, and you move back again. People don't have. That's because you have a sense of space. Like you're in my space. And if we're too aggressive with kids, they don't have that. If you're slapping, you're teaching them like it's okay to cut it to somebody else's space.
How do you heal a child that you see that their inclination is to be like tonight, I saw one of my kids chasing to like attack one of the siblings, and I'm like, wait, like I'm
If the
trying to-
kids are fighting with each other, I'm not as worried as if this safe adult betrays a kid and teaches them how to cut through. Kids fighting is another class. But at least I don't want to be the one that's fighting with the kids. And I'll tell you something else. Children really understand how much Hashem loves them. I did this last class, right? Based on the way that we love them. They understand Hashem, and we don't want our kids to have what we call an "I got you, God." You ever heard of that one? Yeah, and a lot of this, it's called like an "I got you, God" is like a Christian concept. They're like we're like, you didn't say a bracha before you ate. You said a lie. I got you. Ha 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 ha. Now into hell you go. Like I'm gonna burn you now. Like that's not what we do. That's just not that. And that's how if a mother is punitive like that, that's how children will think Hashem is. It's interesting that these are the arms that tell our children this is how much Hashem loves you. And I don't want to be the one that's hurting my child like that. It's normal to lose it at a child every once in a while. It's a sign of mental health. It's normal. It can happen. But A, I'm going to say I'm sorry afterwards. And B, if you're doing like the drug addict kind of yelling, and you know what I'm talking about, like a druggie, you're like, like you're like so angry, you're like your body is shaking. You're watching yourself on a video camera, like you're somewhere up there, and this lady is out of control. The animal noises. Kids bring out a very primal part of us. It's normal, especially I find that when they touch the bottom of the skirt here, like they're pulling, you'll kick. It's a normal. We become animals like our kids. It's primal. It's instinctive. Just because it's normal doesn't mean that it's okay. So don't put yourself in the psych ward. But I do count days for raging. Any of you tried it with the other classes? Like you count 90 days of back to back, no raging. What?
Explain that, please.
Well, you did it where like if you're really angry, you can go to the bathroom, you can sing a song, you can call a neighbor and ask them to borrow some sugar, just like do something to get the brain out of here. And just it's an addictive behavior. If you're shrieking at the kids, I want you to know you can stop.
Can you explain what you just said again? 90, I don't get the 90 days.
To break the habit.
To break a habit for 90 days. Tell me, give me your victories. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. Give me your victories. And it just I find that you don't have to shriek at your kids. You can learn how not to. If you're shrieking, I want you to check and see what's going on. Sometimes I find that a lot of times something is going on and that's why you're shrieking. But when you stop, you'll figure out why you did. It's interesting. Some people say,
within yourself.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're allergic to the food you're eating. Maybe the birth control you're on is making you crazy. Maybe you're low in vitamin D. I don't know. But if this is a no, you might figure out what's going on underneath there. When do you tend to be like this? Like this, it's not, I don't really care why, because you're not allowed to. But sometimes if you figure out how you're going to stop, then you learn the why. Most people think, first I have to understand why. Then I'm going to stop. And then I said, the best way to learn why is if you figure out how. People will come into me and say, I had a really crazy story in 6th grade. I'm like, wow, what happened? Well, I stopped yelling for 2 months and I started getting these flashbacks. Or it's not only with raging gives the brain serotonin, just like coffee and chocolate and drugs and alcohol and all kind of, what you get when you're on a smartphone and watching stuff, all that gives your brain dopamine, and screaming gives your brain a dump of dopamine. What happens is at first you get a real high, and then I hope you feel horrible, yeah? Once you, after you yell for a while, you feel awful.
What are some tips to like stop it before it comes
Or
out?
calming down.
Yeah, calming
Calming
down.
down the anger.
For some people, they find that if you, give me 1 second, maybe it's an emergency, they keep calling. Knato, Friday, I'm in the middle of giving a class in Great Neck, remember? Okay, I love you, I'll call you back soon, bye. I'm still in the middle with traffic. Bye, that's my precious secretary, she knows what I'm doing. I think to understand what you're doing, it's like all this stress, all this tension, boom, boom, boom. You watch it. Once you know what you're doing, and then like here comes this woman, and then you notice that like you, like, I don't really care. Good for her. And then you like just once you know what you're doing, it really ruins being able to do it anymore. Like it's like you're picking up a kid and you're smoking them like a cigarette. And that, like that's just understand that that's understanding what you're doing already really helps. Um, a lot of times we talk about like having victories and working on ourselves, and let's say like stopping to give money for tzedakah, stopping to pray. Like we just focus on like victories. I'm eating healthy. Okay, like 80% of the time it's like that, and then 20% of the time. But when it comes to an addictive behavior, it really has to stop 100%, or else you're going to continue to have the cravings. You may need to get much more help in the house. You may need to go to bed earlier. You may need to stop eating so much chocolate. I don't know, in order for you to stop. But that's where just really understanding that voice that says, like, this is too much for me. I can't do this anymore. Saying it again and again and again is really what.
Sorry, but like, what if they do something very wrong,
Like take a nap on the road.
what?
Like
No,
take,
but like, let's say like they go into your room and
and
they
take your
put-
lipstick.
No, they take your makeup and then they destroy it.
I know.
So of course you're gonna yell at them.
Do you need a psychiatrist if you want to yell at
You
them?
wanna kill them? Like, kill your
Right, but right, it's normal to want to. It's even funny. It's not funny, by the way. Do you take a picture? Does it help if you take a picture?
What?
Does it help if you take a picture?
Laugh about it. Like,
What do you mean, take a picture?
While they're doing that with all this stuff. It's very
No, but let's say you go out of the home and then your husband
Right.
watches them.
right, and then they do it at night. Good. Anyone know what she's talking about? Like the husband goes out, you go out of the house and they come home and then like they ruin the whole thing. So it's 100% normal to want to yell, but you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed.
No, kala koyes, ki'ilu aved avodah. You ever heard of that one? If you lose it, it's as if you help me, idol worship.
Survival.
It's like serving an idol. You're not allowed to. You're basically saying, I was meant to have this makeup. My kids are more powerful than God. They took away my makeup from me that I was supposed to have. So it's normal to want to. It's 100% us, or you're not allowed to. I don't think I even need to convince people of this. It used to be like this massive, like, what do you mean? Like, this is just who I am. This is what I do. And we're paying too expensive a price today.
But how do you discipline them?
Good, without yelling.
Without
Good.
yelling.
That's-
the same way to discipline them.
That's right.
Let's just say you walk into that makeup scene. Like I had this story, but years ago.
Right.
I-
Your whole
No,
body.
no, I actually thought it was funny.
Good.
It was like crazy blue, the same color that's all
Right.
powder all over my bedroom floor. And she was young enough for me to be like, oh my God, you're so funny. I thought
Okay.
it was insane. I'm like, I'm gonna have a crazy cleanup.
Right.
But I feel like now I guess would I, is it okay?
If
to
she would have
laugh?
shrieked then the kid wouldn't have done it later on. Is that what you're saying?
No, I guess I was thinking, my reaction then was
Right.
laughing, so I was laughing bad.
No, it's not bad, but yelling is not an option. That's all I'm saying.
No, but how do you like tell them like, well, can you laugh and then say, well, we don't do that? Like, how do you, you know what I mean? Is it
Do you think that they
okay?
don't know that we don't do that, by the way? I say, it looks like somebody was having a lot. Let's go to something dangerous, because blue eyeshadow all over the floor is safe, and you can buy more makeup, and it's not a lifetime issue. Most probably by the time they're 30, they're not going to be doing that. So it's simply an inconvenience, and you can laugh and give them a kiss and not do anything. You color so nicely. Nothing's going to happen.
But then they'll feel like they can do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So let's say first, I want you to know that we're really focusing on like healthy adults. That might be like an artist adult. It's 100% safe. It's okay. Now let's go to something dangerous. Calamine lotion. They're drinking it. Okay. Look, you kids do weird stuff, right? Or like Vaseline all over the baby's face. So right, let's do something dangerous, because dangerous I think has much more of an impact, right? So you just say, look at the kid. The kid wanted to just have fun, right? It wasn't really about like torturing the mother. It was plain about having. So I say, it looks like someone wants to have a really good time in the bathroom. We don't touch anything from the bathroom. And with a 4-year-old or like that age, get yourself better locks. This child is 100% healthy. Right. Yes.
But like, how if you're cleaning and they take a cleaning product while you're cleaning, you're
Good.
not holding it on.
So let's say the kid takes Mr. Clean and starts spraying it on the baby. The kids do dangerous stuff. So it could be that you can't use Mr. Clean when the kids are around.
But, like you have a cleaning lady.
Okay.
Your kids are not in school.
I agree. I understand. It's really hard. Good. So if you're shrieking, I don't know if the kid gets the message anything other than whoa, this woman. I don't know what she's saying. Funny noises. I don't even know what she wants. Like that. So many of the children that I work with, that I do a lot of work with drug addiction, and a lot of these kids have no excuse whatsoever, and they're just brats. But some of them, when you hear what they're saying when they get sober, is it took me until sitting in 12-step rooms for a year or two to learn that it could be that I made a terrible mistake, but I am not a mistake. I made a mistake. And when you yell at a kid and you shake them, you don't say you made a mistake. You say you're a piece of mistake. That's really what's going on here. Yelling does not educate our kids, and anything. The only thing it teaches them to do is to yell. Yes.
So earlier tonight, my daughter asked me a question. I answered her one. She kept asking the same question over and over and over again, and I had two other daughters who asked me the other question. And so I read somewhere that you don't answer the same question multiple times, because then it invites them to.
What are they asking? She's asking you, where are we going tomorrow? Or can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie? Can I have a
No,
cookie?
something to that effect, like, is it okay if I do this?
And you said no.
And I gave her the answer, and.
What was it, yes or no?
I don't remember. But
She was asking you again and again because she wanted reassurance.
no.
She was
it
manipulating
just a
you?
mundane answer. It was just factual. It wasn't good for her either way, one way or the other. It was just a
So
factual.
why did she keep asking?
I don't know. It was just.
I would try to find out
So,
if she's being anxious.
no,
My daughter asked me 8 times in the car, can I have a chocolate now? She said, and I said, as soon as you're in bed. Can I have a chocolate now?
maybe it was just.
Like
to get
10 times.
attention.
What?
Maybe it was just to get attention.
Attention?
Yeah, just to have my attention. Like, that's how she kept my attention. And
So then don't give it to her.
The only way
Right?
you should answer such a question, I read recently, was say, you've asked that, it's been answered. Don't actually give the actual answer.
Okay.
Like, that'll just
Right.
reinforce her asking again. And I kept repeating myself like a robot.
Right.
And it was after like the 7th or 8th time, I yelled really loud, and everyone stopped talking. It just went completely quiet.
You lost it.
I lost it.
It's okay. Say I'm sorry.
But it worked.
And what does it mean it worked?
She doesn't
It
ask.
worked. She's not asking anymore. It seems to solve the problem.
For that minute.
Because
never asked. I think she's saying, what else should I have done? Like, what
Right,
else
that's
could I
the
have
actual
done?
question I'm asking. It's like,
So-
Yeah, what's common?
it's like, I tried what it's like.
Good.
I tried what I read on the internet.
Good.
Like, what they said I should do. I did what they said.
Good.
That wasn't working. But what should I have done?
So I say something interesting. If you can't get it nicely, it's a sign that Hashem doesn't want you to have it. Let's say, like, right? Let's say, like, your kid wants the rollerblades, and the other kid has it, and she asked really nicely, and she said please, and she promised her something, and she apologized for something, and the kid still saying, no, you can't have my rollerblades. I said no. So I tell her, you did it nicely, and the answer is no. So then maybe Hashem doesn't want you to have it. So just because something works, right? Let's say like I see a piece of jewelry in the store, I really want it. And I go in the store and I tell a man, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to kill you. And I get the jewelry. So it worked. What does it mean? It worked. She was quiet then. Now I'm not telling you you don't need a psychiatrist. You don't need, it doesn't mean you're crazy that you yelled, but then you just say, I'm sorry I yelled. Then what happens is if you say, I'm sorry I yelled, then as you're yelling the next time, the kids are like, soon she's going to say sorry. And it doesn't work anymore. Then you stop yelling because it doesn't work anymore.
The last class you said, if nothing works and then you end up yelling and you tell them, you see what you made me do? You made me yell and I didn't want to yell, but you made me do this.
Good.
You said that, like, you could say that.
No, you cannot say that.
You said that.
It was a joke. The jail is, right?
I thought it was
The
real.
jail.
I actually said, like, look what you did. You basically, I didn't want to yell and you're like.
Do you know everybody in jail? If you go talk to each inmate, they'll tell you the other person made me do it. And what do we tell them? You are 100% responsible for your own behaviors. No one can make you do anything. Isn't that like one of the things you want to teach your kids first? Yes.
So how can we fix the damage?
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The goal is not for you to go home now and feel really guilty. If you feel really guilty, chances are you're going to for sure yell again. Much worse than before. Right, a lot of people come back and they say, Perl, it was the nightmare this week. I shrieked like 5 times as much. So we really believe 100% that this is what Hashem wanted for your kids. You did the best you could. These amazing women come like in their 60s to take these classes, seriously. And it was when I give me a bracha that when I grow up, I should be like you. So when you're here now, and if we're gonna focus on right now, it's hashgacha practice. Like this is what happened till this minute. You have no say over, and you should know that when you stop yelling, it heals what was. It's very interesting. The kids will tell you, you used to yell so much, and now you don't. Or like, yeah, and you say, yeah, I'm having a lot of victories. Good for me. And now you need to go into bed. You need, right? No snack after dinner. Keep to it. Yeah.
So the thing that like really gets me is
Yeah.
when I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, 2 boys back to back, and they're very rough, very aggressive with each other.
Yeah.
So they'll like flip off the couch, they'll like push each other to the left, they'll just be very
Wild. Having fun.
Having fun, but it's dangerous, like flipping off the couch and
Right.
pushing each other. I know one of the kids are gonna end up crying.
Good.
So what, like?
And all I did today was tell you what not to do.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you what yes to do.
Yeah, so I can't like take a picture of that and laugh, like they're gonna continue doing it.
And no,
Can't
good,
do
right.
that,
So when we're saying creative things, it's one thing. When we're saying something dangerous, I want to tell you for sure one thing. If you end up shrieking by something dangerous once a year, then they will learn forever. My mother-in-law, my late one, the first mother-in-law, she never said a thing. But when she said something, like I can tell you twice, we listened because she never said it. I used to always say, if I came to her with a cheeseburger, she would be like, oh, that's nice. She wouldn't say anything. But-
One thing out.
Yeah,
So we talked about the funny, crazy things that can happen with kids and
right.
talked about the dangerous. But I think what really, the points of most stress are when it's in between. So like, let's say the bus is coming.
You
and
gotta
I- and
move,
I
you
have to
gotta
leave,
go,
I have to to
right.
work. Like, there is nobody else to take them to school or to get them on the bus besides
Right.
me. I have to go to my job. They're acting like crazy. Like, what do you do at that point?
I also find that what happens is that the more that you yell, the more that you have to yell. Then you tell them, the only way you listen is if I scream, and then I have to scream louder and louder and louder. So right now, we're just like stopping the screaming.
But they ignore everything.
Whispering is much more effective than yelling. You ever hear it doesn't work? It's not true.
No.
I'm sorry. I've tried everything.
Only yelling works. So why'd you come to the
I
class?
have to say,
I'm a little confused.
I have been really good about the whole ABA and behavior and sometimes it's just that you think that up like working or otherwise I'm dead is the loud voice. It was
One
like you
kid
get
that
the
shows you.
attention right away. And then here's the thing.
Yeah.
Furthermore, they don't ever mess with me again. That was it. That was one time I ever yelled.
Can you look at her body? Can we video it? People
And
should
now
see
I
it,
can
right?
just like just stare at you straight and you know what I mean.
What she's doing is called controlling.
Yes, but in the back, I guess.
Good. What we really want to do is something that will be effective even when you're not there. And it's called connecting. It's a much more powerful form of control. Is that when you have a connection? And they teach the Moras to do that, right? You come in and give them the steer.
Yeah, I guess you have to be okay then that like they'll miss the bus 5 times. They won't get to school on time, then you won't get to work.
Right. And I just tell myself that they will get to school whenever Hashem wants. And like doing an Aveira is certainly not going to make them go to school. If you have basic Emunah, they'll get there because sometimes you could be outside early and you could miss the bus. And that's right. You can do whatever you need to do, and the kids will miss the bus anyways. Some mornings on pen and paper, everyone should have missed the bus, and they will make it to school. And some mornings you were up early, and everything went great, and the kids missed the bus. If they will make the bus is up to Hashem only. You cannot. Whatever was meant to happen is going to happen. Like, does it sound completely not realistic to be so chill? Could it be a goal? You know what happens is that as you're going to try what we did. Let's answer a few questions. Oh, 2 minutes. Lydia, did you figure out a way to get me home?
Yeah.
Okay, good. In 2 minutes, we're going to do it.
Wait,
I know we started early, but we
you have to go?
what? It's very late. I'm nervous.
10:30?
No.
Well,
I'm so sorry. It's way too late. I feel so bad.
okay, fine. Well,
If you want to come earlier, but I can't come later.
huh?
If you want, I can come earlier a different time, but I can't go. It's too late. I'm
Okay,
scared.
fine, fine.
Especially if I'm going on my cab. I'm scared.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going on the highway. It's too scary.
Okay.
Let me know when the car's here, okay?
Well,
They
she
can-
wants to take you to her house,
Well, who?
Lydia.
Lydia, we're gonna leave from your house?
I think so, because I feel like the people that get lost here, they're gonna show up.
Okay, good. So we're leaving in 3 minutes. Okay, good. So we're gonna leave in 2 more minutes. I want to do another question here. My kid is learning every bad word on the bus. There's also a hitting and bullying too. What do you do? My kid told me that the driver stops to daven mincha, and all the kids stay on the bus and they wait for him. We have a problem. Do you think? He said, "Don't worry, it's safe. He's davening mincha." I know, not in Borough Park either. So it comes, I need to call the driver and make sure that he has to daven mincha before he puts the kids on the bus. Or we need to get a driver that's not Jewish. I don't know, something else, but not this. It's a cute driver. I think he's like a little spaced out. I'm not quite sure, but look at the timing. It's so early now. It's great to have a Jewish driver, but he has to daven before he gets on the bus. Because you have like 7-year-olds on the bus by themselves.
He doesn't stay on the bus?
No, he goes to shul. He just drops the way to the shul. It's not funny. If he's happening on the bus, I don't mind. So some crazy stuff does happen. Kids learn bad words, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to get involved or do something about it. He parked in front of the shul. They're both, one's neglect and one's abuse. Neglect and abuse is really the same thing. Or maybe, yeah, I guess when you're yelling, you're for sure damaging. When the kids go stop mincha, it's only potential damage.
Can we ask questions? People on Zoom, can we ask questions?
1 second. The bottom line is that the bad words can happen in the hallway or recess time. We don't have so much control. But the hitting and the bullying, you work on getting someone else on the bus with the kid? I don't know who this is. Yes, ask me.
I have a four and a half year old who spit at my husband. And a month later, so my husband gave a patch on his lips.
Not one lady here made any face. Everyone was like, okay. But I think it's more healing than watching my face. Like it's not
my husband gave him a patch on the lips and he never did it again. But then a month later went and spit on a Mora.
Right. So what did you learn?
So I got a call from the Mora.
So what did you learn when your husband slapped him on the lips for spitting?
And then he spit on me again that day to see how I would react.
He learned that you can't spit on Tati because you get a smack, but you can spit on the mower, you can spit on mommy. If you say we don't spit, then at least somewhere you hear we don't spit.
Yeah. So when it comes to pinching, kicking out of nowhere, his other sibling, and punching out of nowhere randomly,
Right,
I say we don't hit. We don't. Mommy does not let. You
right.
cannot do that.
But
It will happen again.
I want you to know that if you hit a kid for hitting, then you're teaching them to.
Right. So I'm not
They're just
hitting
learning
him.
that whoever hits the hardest.
Right. But
is
I'm
the
not
one who
hitting
wins.
him. But today when I screamed at him and put him in his room and said, do a puzzle to calm your body down, and when you're ready, let me know when your puzzle is done. He was scared that he was there alone,
Okay.
but told me that, Mommy, I'm happy you screamed at me because I'm going to have a better day today.
Okay.
Which was very weird.
Right. I think, how old is he? 4?
4.5.
They just like trying to figure out the right thing, the right answer that will make the mommy happy. But I don't know.
And I did apologize
The
because
puzzle is
I
great.
don't like screaming.
Good. I'm sorry I yelled. It was a mistake.
Right. But
You apologize. You don't excuse the behavior. You don't blame yourself, and you don't blame the kid. And you don't say,
and if the behavior continues, the punching, the kicking out of nowhere, like walking and
Right.
just kicks the brother or punches the brother or pinches.
You can put them in time, and I'll give you a bunch of ideas next week. But hitting them back or screaming at them doesn't really work. I do save screaming for like when the kid's laying on the road and the car is coming, and then I shriek. And then if I don't yell often, then sometimes it will work. But we don't, the yelling and the spitting, like you can say we don't spit. You can do timeout every time they spit. And if you do like very consistent, I find that being very consistent about like a natural consequence, that's much more like, I'll do it next week, much more like if you stick your hand in the fire, you get burnt. Then like if you stick your hand in the fire, I will burn you. More like that. I'm going to do more next week. Okay, another minute and then we're stopping. I want to see if we do this. What do you do when a child eats, it still wants more food after 4 huge bowls of rice and chicken? So one of my kids will do that like once in 3 days. He's like a camel. He fills up once in 3 days and it doesn't eat for 3 days in a row. It's real intuitive eating. He goes to the fridge, he goes like this, takes out stuff, he goes under the table, fills himself up, and then he's done for a few days. He does under the table. Yeah, for a few years. He doesn't do it anymore. You don't have to let them. It depends on your style, but it wasn't a lifetime issue because he's sitting by a chair now and he eats. Some kids need to be taught. But if the kid is morbidly obese and eating 4 bowls of rice and chicken and wants more, what morbidly obese means like the doctor is concerned about his weight, not you are, sorry. But if it's like that, then I would check more into it. Something is wrong. She's saying check and see if you're full, and the kid is saying I'm still hungry. There are some foods that make kids feel very hungry.
Sometimes kids just like to eat for fun.
4 bowls of rice and chicken?
Yeah.
For fun, and it stays down.
Yeah.
Some of them are big guys. They're just able to do it. I don't know. Maybe it's small bowls. If the kid does not have like a medical weight issue, then I think I would let it go.
How about if it's like unhealthy, like
Junking.
But it's not junking, rice and chicken. Rice is all carbs, sugar.
It depends on the kid. It depends on the kid.
What do you do about junking?
Junk, I do a whole class on that. Oh. It's a hard class, right? I don't want it to be.
White flour, no sugar.
You think I should still do that? Yeah, let's try. Okay, everybody. I'm so sorry about the late hour. I'm going to figure out a way to make up a time, but not this week because I have to run back already. Say, oh, I will. No, you're just showing him that you will. You're going to go to my Mora, and you're going to go to your Mora. Yes.
You had said that like you try to plan to make,
Yeah.
you want to control their like spasm and whatever. I did this to my daughter.
Yeah.
never did it again after that. Just like,
Is it on? I think it is.
I totally just walked in it.
Hello. Here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Well, it's so fun. Picture you. Yeah, I think I know which kid from what that 4-year-old that follows around. Yeah, of course you know. Always complicated. I think they're easy babies. They're hard to follow.
Best friends are not kids like block
Oh,
buddies
you're scared.
until like she's like 2 and change, and then she's 70. Nobody warned me about it. 3, 4. And this is the original thing. She was my number 4 child, and I'm like, what? Like, I feel like I already knew what to do, and then she's like, this isn't your wrench. Yeah. Whatever. It's perfectly neat. No, I saw somebody else that would. I like want to offer to drive her iron. Wait, her, what's her name? Yeah, Media. Me too. Anyway, long story short.